The chaos and absurdity that was emanating from the Trump White House was a constant source of stress, a throbbing headache that had no relief in sight. I wanted to show that any solution was like a mirage. And out of my stress, I created the never-ending headache. The elusive nature of a disease in which the populace could find no truth from the echelon of authority. It was, to use a phrase from the power that spoke, fake news.
December 2019. News comes from Wuhan, China, about an alarming novel strain of coronavirus. What we now know as COVID-19 starts spreading, and nations worldwide enforce quarantines and lockdowns. While the world enters crisis mode, a group of filmmakers across the globe grabs their cameras to capture the lives and stories around them. Sharing these stories, they realize, even before COVID-19, we had equally virulent diseases dividing us. Perhaps this virus might be a test for humanity, a wake-up call for change. Filmmakers and storytellers from 22 countries unite in a shared goal to tell the story of a time for healing. This is Sanatione.
The year 2020 was a year of worldwide crisis. COVID-19 drove each of us, willingly or unwillingly, to experience feelings of sadness, loneliness, and fear. These emotions became our new normal, and it was okay to talk about them outside our comfort zone.
Sitting outside in my backyard, listening to the birds.
So many changes. Our homes became our chambers of existence. Groceries were handed out to the needy. Eating in restaurants, going to the movies were activities we lost. So many businesses had to shut down. Students were schooled via Zoom. Transportation was limited. Dog kennels were emptied out as people craved companionship. Social distancing. Protests proliferated for good causes. And COVID tests. The lines went on forever. The words distance and Zoom are now locked into our everyday vocabulary. So the world was forced to come up with ways to cope. Chris Shone lost his job, so Chris decided to make candles at home. Mark Madison, my husband, delved into his woodworking. My friend, Susan Fox, got so much satisfaction by finding a new medium to use for her craft work. And Cosmo, the dog, who had issues of his own, needed help to cope. Creativity plays a vital role in coping for these folks. Quite literally, light drew Chris Shone out of a depression caused by COVID.
I live in Washington, D.C., downtown in a park called Mount Pleasant, right near the zoo. And for the past 4.5 years, I've worked for a local arts organization that I was really passionate about and very much loved. But of course, due to everything that's been going on with COVID-19, arts organizations have been suffering. And so I was laid off in mid-August. And it was pretty hard to kind of like pick up and start over, especially, you know, I have a master's degree in arts management. I've worked in the arts my whole life, and currently the arts aren't happening. I spend a lot of time in this apartment by myself. And it was starting to get rough of like, what am I gonna do with my time? How am I gonna fill my time and not fall into depression, fall into my own anxieties? I started my own company called Ursadai Candle Company. We make soy candles by hand in my kitchen back there. It's such a peaceful process, especially with all the chaos going on in the world. So with the help of my partner and my mother giving me moral support, I made my first batches of candles. November 9th is when I opened the shop. I'm really hoping that this job can kind of become my career because I love craftsmanship. I love the arts. I love being part of a community. And I really want to become part of the fabric that makes DC such a special and unique place. So it's now the end of February, and the candle company has been going on since about mid-November. And I just launched my spring line. COVID is still going on. I still don't have a job yet, like a proper go-to-work job. But the candle company has been helping me take care of myself and nurture myself and let my creative side go. I have a lot of sales, and I've been doing a lot of work at building up my customer base and everything. We're not quite at the point yet where the company will be sustainable for me to make personal money. This is more to me than just a way to make money. This has been how I have healed myself. But I have a lot of hopes for this. This might not be my full-time job or what's gonna take care of me in the future, but I think this candle company will always be a part of my life.
Susan Fox, using her wit and life experiences, was determined to weather the COVID storm through her handcrafted creations, delighting in each discovery along the way.
Hi. So we were talking about what we do to keep sane and occupy ourselves during this really difficult time, the COVID thing. And I get so pissed off at our president that I need to be really distracted. So this is one of my deals here. I'm going to do this today. I'm going to make some hams out of cement. So I'm going to take, oh, and the other thing was I have to either get everything at the dollar store or have already had it. And so that's like part of my personal thing. So I got to kind of watch that. And stream of consciousness, just my frustration with Wisconsin people is channeled into this cool thing that I will show you when I'm all done. I'm gonna push everything down into a finger. Oh, this is so fun. This is so fun. So you think it's down there, but you gotta make it happen. So it's the next day, and here's gonna be a little unveiling. So this set up, so far so good. It's so cool. Oh, look at this. This is brilliant. So there's my hand. Woo! I had a Zoom meeting this morning, and I showed one to some people, and somebody said, oh, how can I order one? And I said, well, you can't, but you can, I will give you one. How can I get it to you? So that's my thing that keeps me sane. My attention span can be really short but intense, and so I move from thing to thing. I move from cement to watercolor to paper mache. Now I'm upcycling feed bags, and it moves from thing to thing, but I have a lot of gifts to give. Since last summer, my husband and I contracted COVID. He got scary sick, where we had to do a home monitoring test, and I lost my sense of taste and smell and developed horrendous tinnitus, ringing in the ears, which has not gone away. But so here we are a year later, and we've survived COVID. A week ago, I got my first dose of vaccine. I did get a lot of aches and pains the next day, and my taste and smell went out again, which is such a disappointment because I have very little exciting things in my life, and food is one of them, or has been. The silver lining in all of this is that I have some new skill sets, which are really helpful. I've met some really interesting people. I'm a pro at YouTube tutorials, and actually I'm even teaching some crafts online for a community organization. So there is a silver lining.
During this time of COVID isolation, Mark was drawn to his shop, a place nestled within the trees, immersing himself in the art of woodcrafting. Seeing with new eyes the possibilities for these age-old wooden fragments of nature, bringing their colors, textures, and contours to life in ways not imagined.
I think what I really like most about woodworking is that you take everything from a raw form and you get to choose what it's going to do. You'll see in the wood, either the wood pattern and the type of wood that, wow, this would make a great giraffe for an ark, or this would make a good little person. But we start right over here. When I'm making the arks, each ark has about 50 pair of animals. Hard to believe in that small ark. I like to take the wood, whether it's oak or black walnut, or this butternut, and look at the grain. If I see a grain pattern I think would be very good for that animal, I'll pick that animal. In this case, a nice long bear. So I trace it onto my wood that I'm going to use for cutting out. Well, I like doing this woodwork anyway, but now that we can't go anywhere and we have all this time on our hands, it's great to go into my shop out here in my own little forest and just take my time. I don't no hurry, I have no schedule to keep. I can take some time and sharpen my knife again, and I can go carve something, or I can go saw out another little bear, or I can turn another little mushroom. So instead of worrying and being concerned about what I'm not getting to do, I'm finding out that I really enjoy what I am getting to do. I don't sell any of these. They all go to fundraisers or different individuals. And especially the caskets. When I was asked to make the casket for premature babies and found out what they had nothing to give these poor young people with stillborn babies. And now I can make a beautiful hardwood casket for them, somewhat help on that time for them. The other thing about almost all these wood projects we do, the wood was given to me to make these objects of my choice. They didn't tell me what to make. They gave me the wood and let me choose what to make. And I get to give them back to the community. So the community gets to have the ark, and the kids will get to play with that house. And they'll see little mushrooms turn into seats, which is good for them to see what they could do with their own hands someday.
Cece Hall's current companion, besides a small rescue named Lulu, is Cosmo, an 8-year-old standard poodle. It's very common for standard poodles to have stomach issues that can be dangerous. One evening, back in late March of 2020, Cosmo got very sick. He had stomach cramps, diarrhea, vomiting, and quite heavy breathing.
I was really worried about him for a while. And it went on for 2 or 3 days. So I did take him to the vet and one night, and they did a bunch of tests and kept him overnight.
The vet also asked if Cosmo had a different routine than normal.
And during 2020, I was around all the time. Clearly had an effect on them. I regularly teach at UCLA, so I would be gone for a good part of the day normally. As a result of having to stay at home, I was here all the time, and I think that affected them and made them nervous, and they responded very emotionally, and I think that caused them a lot of stress. Next morning, the vets called me and said, "There's nothing wrong with him. We think he was having an old-fashioned panic attack." Our dogs, our pets, are so much in tune with us that they pick up on what we're feeling emotionally. Cosmo started going outside every evening at dusk. He was sort of standing guard. He's become an incredible watchdog. There's a very elevated degree of watchfulness, attention. I don't know if it's stress anymore, but he's much more acutely aware of everything going on around the house and with me.
The sun has just come up. I'm sitting at the edge of the water and I'm refreshed by its light breezes. I'm calmed as the water moves and moves. We must keep moving like these waters. The COVID-19 virus challenged the world's population to a battle of wills. So many of us had to find ways to cope with the challenges of isolation. Joel, Chris, Susan, and Mark stand as examples of searching and finding individual strengths. We hope that their creativity and Cosmo's resilience can inspire all of us to find peace in a world of chaos.